I was paid to clean the house, not to keep its darkest secrets. But when you're an immigrant trying to survive in a new country, saying no feels like a luxury you can't afford. I thought one small lie would protect my employer's heart. I didn't realize that lies don't protect people, they just bury the truth until it rots. My name is Alina. I moved here from Eastern Europe 3 years ago. I make my living as a housekeeper, and twice a week, I work at the Caldwell estate. It's a beautiful, sprawling property owned by Mrs. Caldwell. She's an incredible woman, tough, resilient, but perpetually exhausted. She's been a widow for years and lives in that massive house all by herself. I take care of the basics: vacuuming, dishes, laundry. I genuinely love the house. It's filled with natural light, especially the sunroom that overlooks the garden. But there's a shadow over that house, and his name is Liam. Liam is Mrs. Caldwell's son. He's about 30, unemployed, and drifts through life like a ghost. He doesn't live there, he stays with friends across town, but he's always around. He shows up early, sinks into the leather sofa, and stares at the TV for hours. On sunny days, he sits on the patio, chain smoking and drinking beer. He's not rude, just ... hollow. He says hey when I walk in, and that's it, but he leaves a trail. I'm the one who lugs the crates of empty beer bottles down to the basement. I hate that basement. It's damp, freezing, and smells of stale yeast. But it's part of the job. Mrs. Caldwell manages a logistics firm. She leaves before dawn and returns after dark. She often calls me mid-shift, her voice tight with anxiety. Alina, is Liam there? Is he okay? I always give the same answer. Yes, Mrs. Caldwell, everything is fine. And usually, it was true. I respected her too much to worry her. She pays me well, treats me with dignity, and never complains about her own fatigue. Back home, life was brutal after my divorce. Here, I can support my daughter who's living with my mother. I miss her desperately, so I hold on to this job with everything I have. One Tuesday morning, Liam walked into the kitchen while I was scrubbing the counters. He looked rattled. Alina, I need a favor, he said. I paused, dripping sponge in hand. What is it? He lowered his voice. I'm going away for a few weeks. A trip. But don't tell my mother. She'll just freak out. If she asks, just tell her I'm still around, okay? I blinked, confused. You want me to lie and say you're here when you aren't? Please, he pleaded, his eyes bloodshot. Just tell her I'm fine. She trusts you. Please, Alina. I didn't want to get involved, but he looked so pathetic. Against my better judgment, I sighed. Okay, I'll do it. He gave a weak smile, grabbed a duffel bag, and slipped out the back door. I thought that was it. I thought he was actually going on a trip. The following weeks were eerily quiet. I did my chores, carried the recycling down to the dark basement, and dusted the silent TV. The house felt vacant. Every evening, Mrs. Caldwell called. The ritual remained the same. Alina, is Liam around? Yes, Mrs. Caldwell. I lied. Everything is normal. It felt like a small, white lie. I was saving her from worry, or so I told myself. 2 weeks later, Mrs. Caldwell came home unexpectedly early. I was in the kitchen and nearly jumped out of my skin. Alina, she said, breathless. I wrapped up early. I wanted to catch Liam. Is he in his room? My stomach dropped. Oh, ... he went out this morning. He might be back later. She slumped into a chair, looking defeated. He never picks up my calls. I just want him to get his life together. I can't carry him forever. Guilt pricked at my chest. He'll be okay, I reassured her. He just needs time. She offered a tired smile. Maybe you're right. After she went upstairs to nap, I went down to the basement to store some cleaning supplies. When I flicked on the light, I froze. Several beer crates were pulled open. Bottles were missing. Shattered glass glittered on the concrete floor. Liam was gone. So who was drinking the beer? I swept up the glass, my heart hammering. Maybe Liam had come back for supplies. I tried to push the dread away. The pattern continued. Mrs. Caldwell would leave dinner on the stove for Liam, hoping he'd walk in. The next morning, the food would be cold and untouched. I'd throw it in the trash before she saw it, maintaining the illusion. Every time the phone rang, I flinched. Is he there? He's sleeping, or he's in the shower. The lies were tasting like ash in my mouth. One morning, I arrived to find the back door wide open. I called out, hello, silence. I checked the patio, then the basement. More bottles were missing. Mrs. Caldwell never went down there. She hated the stairs. Then, the phone rang. Alina checking in. Is everything okay? I stared at the open basement door, shivering. I wanted to scream the truth. Instead, I whispered, "Yes, Mrs. Caldwell, Liam is here. All is well." I hung up and sat on the floor, shaking. The secret wasn't protecting her anymore. It was haunting me. Before I tell you what I found in the shadows, if you're enjoying this story, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Now, back to the house. The next week was torture. I started locking the basement door from the outside, but every time I checked, the bottle count dropped. One rainy morning, I pulled up to the gate and saw a figure in a dark hoodie standing near the garage. He was tall. As soon as he saw me, he turned and sprinted down the alley. I rushed inside, bolting the doors. Later, Mrs. Caldwell called, "How's my son?" My throat felt like sandpaper. He's fine. I saw him this morning." "Good," she sighed, sounding relieved. "Tell him to call his mother." I hung up, feeling sick. That evening, as dusk settled, I had to go to the basement again. I flipped the switch. The damp smell of spilled beer hit me instantly. Puddles were on the floor, fresh ones. Someone had been here recently. I backed out, killed the light, and ran upstairs. I wanted to tell Mrs. Caldwell, but she looked so fragile lately. I couldn't be the one to break her. The next day, she came home looking pale as a sheet. "Alina," she whispered, "I got a text from an unknown number last night. It was Liam. It just said, 'Don't worry, I'm safe.' Nothing else." She looked at me, searching for answers. "Do you think he's in trouble?" I almost broke, but I saw the desperation in her eyes, and cowardly, I pivoted. "Maybe he just lost his phone and got a new number. He'll be back soon." She nodded slowly. "I hope so. He's all I have." The breaking point a few days later, I walked into a scene from a nightmare. The front door was ajar. Inside, the living room was tossed sofa, pushed aside, drawers yanked open. I ran back outside and called Mrs. Caldwell. "Come home now. The house is open." When she arrived, we walked in together. She was trembling. "The basement," she said suddenly. "Check the basement." We went down. The lights flickered on. The bier cases were decimated. The floor was sticky with alcohol. "Alina," she turned to me, her voice sharp. "Have you seen anyone?" "No, Mrs. Caldwell." I lied again, though my voice cracked. "Just a man near the gate once." She buried her face in her hands. "It's Liam. I know it. He's scavenging that night." I couldn't sleep. The guilt was eating me alive. Why was I protecting a lie that was hurting everyone? The next evening, I stayed late. Once Mrs. Caldwell was in her room, I crept down to the basement. I needed to know. I moved some old boxers in the far corner and gasped. Behind a stack of old furniture, there was a makeshift bed, a pile of dirty laundry, and an old quilt. There were empty tuna cans, a burner phone, and filth everywhere. Someone was living in the basement. The next morning, Mrs. Caldwell called. I couldn't do it anymore. "Mrs. Caldwell," I said, my voice shaking uncontrollably. I think Liam has been in the basement this whole time." Silence. "What?" I spilled everything. The missing bottles, the noises, the bed in the corner. She didn't yell. She just whispered, "I'm coming home." We went down together. The bed was there, but the quilt was gone. "He was here," she wept, touching the cold concrete. "My son was living like a rat in his own mother's cellar because he was too ashamed to come upstairs." She turned to me. "Thank you for finally telling me, Alina." That night, she sat in the living room with the lights on waiting, but he didn't come. I walked home, feeling heavy. I realized that my kindness in lying had only prolonged his suffering. Secrets in a house are like mold. They grow in the dark. The next morning, Mrs. Caldwell called and told me to take the day off. She sounded broken, but I couldn't stay away. I was worried. I took the bus to the house that afternoon. The gate was open. I walked to the front door and heard voices. I peeked in. Mrs. Caldwell was at the kitchen table, and there, sitting opposite her, was Liam. He looked terrible, gaunt, dirty, shivering. Mrs. Caldwell saw me. "Alina, come in." Liam looked up. Shame was written all over his face. "Maria, Alina, I'm sorry." Mrs. Caldwell held his hand. "He came up this morning. He's been homeless. He lost everything. He was sneaking in to sleep and drink because he had nowhere else to go." Liam looked at me. "Thank you for keeping my secret, even though you shouldn't have. I just didn't want my mom to see me like this." "You're my son," Mrs. Caldwell said firmly. "We fixed this together." I stayed for dinner. It was simple soup and bread, but the atmosphere had shifted. The heaviness was gone. Mrs. Caldwell walked me to the door later. "I forgive you, Alina. I know you thought you were helping, But today I learned that hard truths are better than soft lies. Over the next few months, the house changed. Liam moved back into his old room. He started doing yard work, painting the fence, helping me with the heavy lifting. He looked healthy again. One afternoon, I walked out to the patio. Liam and his mother were drinking coffee, laughing. Mrs. Caldwell waved me over. "Elena, great news. Liam got a job. It's just stocking shelves at the hardware store, but it's a start." I smiled, genuinely this time. "That's wonderful." Walking home that evening, the sunset painted the sky in gold and violet. I thought about my daughter in Europe. I thought about the Caldwells. I realized that by clearing out the secrets, we had finally let the light back into that big house. Life was simple again, and for the first time, I felt like I had done my job not just as a cleaner, but as a human being. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories. See you in the next one.